transit-oriented. We often hear in these difficult economic times, can we afford this? This is a little primer on our Transportation Capital Program. This comes from our County Board adopted CIP, Capital Improvement Program, a 10-year plan, $1.162 billion, with a variety of sources, including state aid, federal aid, and something called the Transportation Capital Fund, and I'm going to go into a little bit more explanation on this. This is a commercial and industrial real estate tax. It means it is not levied on homeowners of this county, and it is legislatively restricted to only be spent on transportation projects in Arlington. So this is a levy imposed on our business sector. Go to the expenditure side. You see general obligation bonds that comes before the voters, roughly 24% of our program. Almost all of that funding goes for only two things. It goes to pay our basic commitments to Metro at 15%, and 10% goes to paving. And of those general obligation bonds, that 24%, half of that support comes from the commercial sector. We use that dedicated funding source, that commercial real estate tax, to leverage outside money that otherwise would not come to Arlington to make our community better. We track how much money we're able to pull into Arlington. And in fiscal 13, we were able to leverage $20 million of federal and state aid that would not otherwise come here if we were not able to invest upfront local dollars, primarily the commercial real estate tax. And I want to show you how this works on a project-specific basis. The largest project in our program at the moment is the Roslyn second entrance. This is the busiest station in Northern Virginia, carrying 36,000 people a day. This is building a full second entrance and making that station more accessible. $49 million. It is going to be delivered this year by Arlington on time and on budget. And almost no general obligation fund money is on this project. You can see local dollars, 1%. Federals, 21, and transportation capital, 36 or 38%. I want to go to the second largest project in our portfolio, also being advanced this year, which is rebuilding the front of Pentagon City, in front of the Metro and the mall. Federal share, 69%. Transportation Capital Fund, 19%. Local share of general obligation bonds, 9%. This project is also expected to be delivered on time and on budget. The Columbia Pike funding plan is really grounded in that larger program approach, which is to use dedicated local transportation funding to leverage outside aid. This is a joint project of Fairfax County and Arlington, so Fairfax has a local portion. Arlington's local portion comes from the commercial real estate tax, and this funding program also includes state and federal aid. Infrastructure is expensive. These are investments. They're not investments for 1 year or 5 years. These are 30, 40, 50-year investments. These are some of the investments that were made in this community in the 70s when the tax base wasn't nearly so robust. What you see is the Columbia Pike Streetcar project is really at the mid-range of a host of regional projects. I'll point out a few. Our neighbor in Alexandria, its #1 project, is the infill station at Potomac Yard, estimated to cost up to $496 million for one infill station. In Maryland, the Corridor Cities Busway is an $828 million project. And then we have smaller projects. Our Roslyn project is at the smaller end of this regional scale. Courthouse Road, Arlington Boulevard, built with VDOT partnership, is at the smaller end. But infrastructure is expensive, but worth doing as a long-term investment in the community. We also hear questions about, can we afford the general operation of these kind of systems? And is this raising our tax rate this year? So this slide actually captures an 8-year trend for the transportation program in Arlington from 2006 to 2014. There has been very little growth in that tax support for the program, even though services such as ART and STAR and Signals and the many other things we do have dramatically expanded. Net tax support has actually dropped from 49% to 28%, meaning very little additional cost for households. And let me put that in perspective. Our Metro contribution this year is $28 million of local support. Our contribution for school bus transportation is $16.2 million this year. This is about investing in